I said that about the seat at the table type of thing, but hey, if there's no seat, bring the chair. You know, that's another good quote. You know.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Connect Over Coffee. Today on the show, I am chatting with Monique Lewis. Monique is the co-founder of the Shiro Plan Foundation. Mo, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. So before we hop into everything, learn a little bit more about what you're doing here. We're going to play a segment we don't play too often here on the Connect Over Coffee segment we call Foul or No Foul. I'm just going to throw out some sports hot topic questions there. And if you agree with the statement, the comment, you say no foul. But if you disagree with the statement, the comment, you give it a technical, you give it a foul, flagrant, whatever you want to call it there. That's on you to give it a call. Quick disclaimer. These are not my personal views and statements there, so don't judge me. Anybody at home listening, don't at me on any social media. These are not my statements. They're strictly statements that have been talked about in the sports industry recently. But you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, here we go. First one. Shaq should not have his Orlando Magic jersey retired after only playing there for 4 seasons and 0 championships. Foul or no foul?
Shaq should not have it. That's a foul. That's a foul. Like, he should. He's a legend, and what he did for that franchise, absolutely. Like, I get the no thing, but come on now. Like, Shaq with the 3-2 in the Magic jersey, yeah, he deserves that.
All right. Sabrina Ionescu will beat Steph Curry at NBA All-Star in the 3-point contest.
Very much a foul. Like, she will not. No. Steph is so, and yeah, it's nice what Sabrina does and everything, but no, Steph is Steph. Come on. Steph Curry.
No. I mean, I'm curious to see. I think it's going to be good entertainment because I saw her at All-Star, WNBA All-Star this past summer. And when she locked in and didn't miss a single shot, I was like, oh, this is different.
I hear. And to your point, like off the rack, no defense, I gotta give it to her. Yeah, like she's pretty pure with the shot.
Yeah.
But it's Steph talking about here, and I can't. Yeah, I gotta go with Curry. That's a foul. Steph all day.
All right. Well, we'll see pretty soon here what those results are. All right. Patrick Mahomes will be the GOAT quarterback in the NFL forever.
Nah, foul. That's a foul. Yeah, that's a foul. Do I want to name my GOAT QB? No, I will not. But I mean, he's good, but I'm not gonna go GOAT all time. Nah, not at all. I mean, and I remember watching the Super Bowl because I mean, of course, San Fran being out there, like Joe Montana, seeing him on the sidelines and stuff like that. I was like, dang, like, it just brought back a lot of memories and stuff. Because I watched football back in the day, like growing up, not so much now NFL, but seeing Joe Montana, I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. He's GOAT. Mahomes, he got a little bit more time, so I'm not gonna call him GOAT yet, by no means.
He's definitely got time, 27, to do what he's already done. It's pretty impressive, though.
True.
I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I want to say no foul just because he's got so much time. He's got a lot of time on his hand. He's already won 4, you know?
Is it 4
already? We'll need a spot, someone to verify that. It's 3 or 4.
Yeah. I hear you. And to your point, plenty of time to become but it's really hard. I don't know. It's hard to have that GOAT conversation present day.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to call him a GOAT. Like, for seasons. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. If it's not 4 yet, maybe I got a sneak peek to the script for next year.
Right?
All right. Let's jump into it here. Shiro Plan Foundation. You're the co-founder of this, Monique. Explain to me what the foundation does and who the foundation benefits.
Absolutely. So myself and my friend slash business partner, Danielle, not you, Danielle, but Danielle Evans. Danielle and I played high school basketball in the same area out of the DMV. So we didn't know each other at the time, growing up playing, but like we always saw each other's names in the newspaper and stuff like that. So had a lot of mutual friends. And as time went on, we circled back like after college and we're at a venue together. And we just started talking about just like our past and some future dreams and stuff like that. And she was refereeing at the time, also teaching. I think I was coming out of my ticket sales career where you and I know each other, and also moving into nonprofit. And I think we just like put our heads together and we're just like, you know what? I think it's time that we start giving back. That was the original reason why we started, just coming together with some ideas. And so Danielle, with her teaching, background, we, came up with a phenomenal workshop that we started delivering to high school girls basketball teams at a tournament in Baltimore. So we delivered this workshop. It was awesome. It was probably, oh man, probably anywhere from 10 to 15 teams at this tournament in Baltimore City. It felt great. And that would have been in 2016, 2017. And then Danielle moved overseas. And so she's been teaching in Abu Dhabi since 2017. And so that meant that what we started was shifting a little bit. And also around this time, the pandemic hit. So just kind of seeing different opportunities and different needs that were there, I think the pandemic showed us that the girls that we're serving, there's some discrepancies when it comes to Black girls, brown girls. They're not getting the resources now that schools are closed and parks and recs are closed and things like that. So we decided to be explicit about serving Black girls and women in sports. And so it evolved from the workshop. And so now we have this component of a giving circle, which is essentially philanthropy. And that's kind of where I've been able to flex a lot of my muscles, because coming from sales and then moving into nonprofit space and doing fundraising, this philanthropy piece was like really, really a way to get people to understand, like, you don't have to be just like a rich person or a rich white man for give back. Like, we as Black women have always done that. Like, we always support each other. And I think coming up with this giving circle model, it really allowed us to start just like giving grants out to organizations that are Black led and Black serving, and really supporting our girls in sports the way that, we needed when we were younger too. So that's what we did. We just said like, hey, let's provide Black girls and women in sports with increased opportunities and access to resources. And that's what they need to flourish. So bridging the gap and breaking barriers, that's kind of how we landed.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. You touched a little bit on it. You didn't have the support when you were younger and when you need. So how are you bringing this support full circle to younger Black females and women in the sports industry and playing sports?
Yeah, good question. I think for one, like I said, we started with the workshop. So, getting up in front of a room of middle school or high school girls, myself and Danielle as two Black females, like, for them to see that representation is huge. Like, it's like, you can't even put into words how important that representation is. And this, like in sports, a lot of times girls don't see themselves in leadership positions, whether it's leadership as a head coach, whether it's leadership as an athletic director, whether it's leadership as, like a referee even. And so we said to ourselves, like, we got to make sure that we're showing up and being present, more than just like seat at the table type of thing, but like, now let's put some action behind it. So giving dollars, like, that's a real tangible, actionable way to say that we're supporting, and filling the gaps for what's needed. So between the workshops, and that's kind of some mentoring, and then the philanthropy piece is literally like that. It's resources. It's the tangible thing. And then advocacy from the standpoint that, we have a social media platform, we're sending out newsletters, we're having conversations with people all the time, partnering, with other organizations on different issues. Those types of things, advocacy, leadership, and philanthropy. I mean, those are kind of like our three pillars that make sense for us to keep giving back.
Yeah. Anyone who listens to the show knows I love like a good quote. I always love analogies and quotes. Love them.
Yeah.
One of the quotes I think is just like apropos is we had to be seen because we couldn't be heard. And that was from
Mm.
Tommy Smith. And if you guys are familiar with Tommy Smith, he's one of the track runners there. Exactly the most famous shot that you've ever seen. And just kind of hearing what you're saying, it seems like it's very similar. So kind of talk to me of how that quote, when you hear something like that, even back then, and how it transfers into now of Black females not having to be seen, so their voices can be heard for younger generations.
Yeah. I think and we're big quote people too, Danielle and myself, and we kind of lean on lift as we climb, which is like an Angela Davis quote. So we lift as we climb. Like Black women, Black girls, like it is really important to see yourself so you can be what you want to be in the future. And I don't know. I think it really just comes down to, like I said, just seeing the possibilities right there in front of you. And like I said, I really do feel like it is hard to even put into words how important that connection is once you have somebody there that looks like you, that has similar lives as you. And that's really what I hear when I'm saying, like, Tommy Smith, like those guys, they made those sacrifices because they were like, no, we're not going to be invisible. You're going to see us, like we're going to step up. I know I said that about the seat at the table type of thing, but hey, if there's no seat, bring the chair. That's another good quote. Bring the chair. Like you gotta make yourself seen and known, and that just speaks to the confidence that you need. And a lot of these things we got from sports anyway, right? Like those are things that girls I think is so important. Like that's why you play. That's why you start to play early. You don't quit at 14, right? Like you got to keep playing, because we know, like, executives, once you reach that executive level, whether it's in sports or not, it's because a lot of these women have played sports growing up, and those are the things that help them to develop. So just seeing yourself, I think that's the key to all of that.
Yeah, for sure. Probably go on a whole nother tangent about how the drop off for females in general at the age of 14 in sports is astronomical, but then also on the opposite end, how many executive females play the sport. So it's very interesting that data there. I'd love to dive deeper into
Totally
that. That's another time, another conversation for another day. But you mentioned earlier. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying, like, I think that's a lot of, again, like with the advocacy, that's what it is bringing these numbers so that we can tell the stories. And when people start numbers, from the sales game, right? Like numbers don't lie. The data is what the data is. So you can't deny when you see, attendance going up, when you see the dollars, and the revenue in women's sports growing. You can't deny those types of things. So it only makes sense to invest further when you do that. And I think that's what philanthropy does in a way as well.
No, definitely, for sure. And you kind of see what's going on in women's college basketball. Caitlin Clark's game tonight, or I probably shouldn't say tonight, but yeah, it's tonight, I think. What she's getting ready to do and what the average cost of that ticket is. You didn't see that 5 years ago, which, it's kind of showing people are investing. They're, spending the time, they're looking at the numbers, and that's only going to grow. It's only going to get better with Juju Watson. What she's doing at USC is watching her game. That's a smooth player right there. I like watching Juju play. She's smooth.
Indeed. And it's awesome because she's young. Like, she's a freaking freshman. Like, this is unheard of. So it's like changed the game in ways that if we didn't see the Juju Watkins, playing and the coverage and things like that from so young, like, she didn't quit when she was 14, right? Like, obviously she kept on the circuit for a while. But even besides just the elite players, you're right. Like, you have to evolve the game, and it only happens when you're involved, when you keep playing, when you support on every level. So
yeah, no, for sure. I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, when I first met you, we started out in ticket sales, and one of the things I had the pleasure of kind of seeing and noticing was your give back to the community, that being an advocacy for the voice in the community with what you did, even on the ticket sales, on the revenue generating side. But talk to me about where this passion stems from and wanting to get involved in the community and having that heart to give back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think my origin story in a sense is like I was a military kid growing up, so I think some civics in a sense like was always part of like who I am. Involved in church, pretty heavy. So I think my family just always was heavy on like, no, you give, you don't just, take. You are a leader. Like those are the things that I think just like my values, my internal values were just like really set from family. And then just like as I started getting older, it was like, hey, you're gonna put together this portfolio because you're not only gonna be an athlete, you'll be academics, you'll have your community service and all those types of things. Like my dad was like really good about, making sure I was selling myself. And I didn't even know that's what I was doing back in the day, but it's like, no, when you win the state championship, like you make sure that you're in the front. You don't put your head down. You make sure you're in the front. Those types of things were kind of ways that I could make sure that I was confident in myself, but also like when I see someone who's not as confident, like being able to motivate them too. So I think I started seeing even as a point guard, right? Like I'm a leader, so I got to be able to be on student athlete advisory councils when I'm a student athlete, so I can go out in the community and read the children in the neighborhood of my college. Shout out to Coppin State, HBCU pride. But yeah, like those are things that I think I just always knew, was told that I should be doing more than just what I was given. And that's really what it comes down to, and in a sense, like that's how I've continued to move forward in my life. Like not just my jobs that I've had, but like, it's like, this is my life's work. This is, not just like job or career, but it's like my work, my purpose. And also how I approach fundraising. It's how I approach philanthropy. It's like, you don't have to just give your resources in dollars. You can give your time, you can give your talent, all of those things. Your treasure obviously is your money, but your testimony too, because that goes back to talking about like who you are as a person. But those are all things I think I just had built in from family values.
Yeah. Not to quote another one, but to quote, it's a funny quote. I mean, the person who said it's funny, but like currency, your best currency is time, right? Just because you just never know how long it is, how short it is, but that's the most thing you can always give to someone is your time and your presence there. So like your currency is your time. Sylvester Stallone said that. So it's a good quote there, but you just brought me back. Student Athlete Advisory Council. I was a part of that too. I was like, oh snap, I haven't heard that in a long time. So that brought me back to my college playing days as well. That's pretty
Good
cool.
Stuff.
Yeah. Now, you said student athlete, we'll go back to a little bit. Growing up, young Black girl playing sports, was there a squad or was there a community that you were involved in that really helped instill this mindset of community first, outside of your family and everything that your parents have taught you there?
Wow. Goodness gracious, that's a great question. You got me thinking back to different I don't know. I mean, I feel like between student government, like I did that. I was like my high school vice president as well. So it's like I think I probably was naturally doing those things just because it was like just something like I didn't want to just be at home, right? Like I was used to playing sports. So it was like, what other activities can I get involved in? So I think between student government, like National Honor Society, I did Future Business Leaders of America, the church stuff, all the being a summer camp, counselor and stuff like that. Those are groups and things that I would do as a kid, and as I got older, that's when I started to realize like, hey, like these are actually leadership things. And it carried on into my professional life as well, because I was always involved in some type of networking event or networking group. I think it's changed to Black sports professionals now, but like back in the day when I was like grad student, I was the only grad student amongst all these professionals, in the early 2000s. And it's like, now these folks are my peers and they're presidents of teams and, VPs of different sports agencies and things like that. So just like early networking were things that I just did like even from a childhood that I didn't realize that I was kind of building on to become who I am now today.
Yeah, I know I said this to you before, but future politician on our hands here? I don't know. It seems like it's kind of a natural next step for you.
I have been thinking about it, Danielle. I definitely have. And it's interesting because it's like this cross section of all of the things that I've done. So I'm thinking about it, praying about it.
Well, you got my endorsement there.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
There we go. But brings me to an interesting, nice segue into our next topic here, which is my favorite topic, networking. What are a few different ways that you go about networking, and then taking it a step further, how are you networking to raise more awareness for the Shiro Plan Foundation?
Sure. Yeah. I am like a routine researcher. I had to stop saying stalker because that's a little scary to people, but just finding, even online, like, because we do live in such a, digital age, like, you don't have to always meet people in person. I think, reading, I'm a habitual reader, podcast listener, things like that. And so it's like, I kind of pinpoint people that I admire, but also like, what spaces are they in? So whether I'm attending these conferences and symposiums myself, or if I'm using LinkedIn, for example, to connect with people, I think those are really powerful ways. Because I'll be honest, like, it's exhausting when you start going and networking and shaking hands and kissing babies and doing all the things. It can be a lot, right? So you got to find a way to just like manage your time. But I think genuine connections with people, where it's not just like you're looking for something from someone, but it's mutual. That's always the best way, in my opinion. And same things, like, again, using your social media platforms and things like that are great ways to just connect, to check in with people, even if it's like 20, 30 minutes to check in, shooting a text message real quick to people. But just making it a meaningful connection, I think, is the other big thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Go-to podcasts that you're listening to, just out of curiosity.
Go-to podcast. So I love Amanda Seals, Small Doses. I like that one a lot. Let's see. I like, I think it's called, I want to actually look at it because I had it on earlier today and I did not, hold on. Oh, In the Light podcast with Dr. Anita Phillip. In the Light. Yep. And then I'll give you one more. Justice Ain't Cheap. It's a queer philanthropy podcast.
Okay. You might have to drop those in some different podcasts there to listen to. What am I listening to? Like In the Heights, Drama Queens, which is about One Tree Hill. Those are only.
Okay, and I'll do like Friend Zone. Nothing too heavy with Friend Zone. That's my go-to chill one.
Yeah. So I definitely gotta mix in the better podcast with my just pure entertainment podcasts that I'm listening to now. So definitely check a few of those out. All right, Mo, we made to our last question here, which is our shit you wish you knew question. Loosely translates to, what is one piece of advice you wish you could tell your younger self?
Man, don't take it so serious.
Yeah.
Don't take it so serious, because everything's a learning lesson. So, just failures aren't failures, they're lessons. Those are things. I think I put so much pressure on myself when I was younger, even as like an athlete. I'm like, I turned the ball over. Now it spirals into 2 or 3 more turnovers. And, you got to have a short memory in some instances. And I think that's the thing. Like, don't take it so serious. Everything's not a mistake or a failure per se. I think that'd be what I tell myself. Just learn.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so definitely, I agree with that statement for sure. It's something I wish I would tell my younger self and tell myself now too. You got to remember that as well. So, but thank you for chatting with me today, and especially talking about the Shiro Plan Foundation. Can you tell us where we can get more information on the foundation and how we can join the squad?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the Shiro Plan is on Instagram. So it's the Shiro Plan. So TheSheroplan. So that's on Instagram. We've got a page on LinkedIn also, and then our website. So it's www.theshiroplan.org.
All right, perfect. All right, well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode here of the Connect Over Coffee. Let's connect soon, guys.